Hello everyone, I hope you're doing great. So, welcome to today's episode, which is, I believe, number 5. And we have already, understood now basics of annotations, how they work, and we also discussed about different aspects of core data services, which is CDS. And I think right now it makes sense to bring in the concept of virtual data model and create our model, which I was supposed to do beforehand, but I couldn't did not do it. Why? Because I wanted to, I think it makes logical sense to explain that data model, what it is, how it works, and then from there basically we jump into kind of create one data model for our purchase order, and then we will try to create a basic app, a Fiori element list report app in this episode. So that's what we are planning to do, and maybe once that is done, then maybe next we will bring in object page or analytics or other crazy stuff. So maybe before I actually start coding, let me explain you about what is virtual data model, why it came, and how it comes into picture. Okay, so let's maybe first spend some amount of time in understanding what these different concepts are, because I've seen people making, developers making, our team members making views, but without actually understanding how it works. So earlier in our prior to our HANA era, right, we were having a database, right? It can be Oracle or DB2, whatever, right? And it was interacting ABAP, our application server, right, was pulling the data and doing some stuff and then display, right? But with coming of HANA, or HANA, however you want to call it, right? So what has happened is the logic, this one, the logic is now has moved from, let me write it again here, application server ABAP, right? But logic has moved from application server move to HANA, the database, because database is very powerful. So we, that is what it is called as code push down, right? Now this code push down, how it does is by using CDS, right, and via what do we call, AMDP or table functions or whatever, right? So those are different mechanism via which it pushes stuff down to the database level, right? So as soon as you create a CDS, it creates the CDS view on HANA database, right? So that's where, because we have new concepts coming in, so there was a new way of doing the same things, right? So how do we normally now work is basically, or what is the recommended way from SAP is as follow. So first at the bottom we have our DB tables, and these are with very technical name, and you all already know those are very typical jargons which are very tough to understand for anyone who is not a developer, right? Even for developer also at times it becomes tough. So what SAP suggests is that on top of it, because we are trying to utilize the power of our database, you create your basic interface view. Okay, now this view is the only view which will interact with database. Okay, and what it will do is it will make, or it will enhance the names of fields, views, semantics. When I say semantics, it can be like what field is currency, what field is all, to more business, bear with my spelling, business, or I can say simply business relevant. Okay, so it's like it is, rather than having a VBAC, you have sales order. Rather than having AURT, you have a document type. So those kind of things. Or for currencies, you have a semantic meaningful names that okay, for this field, this is my currency, this is my the amount, this is my quantity and all, right? Or this is my date, this is my time. But this is not, and plus not to be consumed by end user or application, right? Then at next level, what SAP suggests is you create your composite views. Now this one is, ideally it is recommended 1-to-1 with the table, right? And for here you can have your relationships, associations. Here also you can have in the first one, but primarily it is recommended to do it in the second. And what this thing does is, this composite interface views are also like, they bring in the concept of reusability. So reusable views, for example, on sales order or purchase order, for example, POSO, you create them, right? This also not to be consumed by end user or Fiori elements or whatever you want to call it. Last is the layer where everything happens. This is consumption views. So this is what is exactly exposed to the user. Plus these are mostly custom, whereas app to app, right? So it's like it varies app to app. One app has list, another app has something else, another need this filter, that filter. So this is the one used by end user, uses it. So this is how overall the concept of those, from tables, from typical technical jargon tables to basic views to composite views to consumption views, that concept has come, right? I hope now it is pretty clear of why this thing has come, but I forgot to tell you one more thing, which is this whole concept is called as VDM, virtual data model. So all S4HANA, everywhere this concept you will see being used. So this is the overall at a very high level. You have another type of views also, but primarily these are the layers which are more importantly being followed, right? So on similar line, that's why I wanted to create those views in front of in a recording, so that you also are able to understand the philosophy of why it is done in that way. So what we have right now is with us is, we have PO header, PO item, then we have material one, then we have plant and company code. So first we will create what we will create is, first first we will create basic views, basic interface views 1 to 1, which I believe we have created, or else I will create new one now, right? And then on top of it, what I will do is that we will create a which color do I use? Red one. So we'll create a composite view, one big view for purchase order, and then at last we will finally create our consumption view. So this will be our whole VDM, right? And then once we are done with this, we will create a Fiori elements report app, list one, and then maybe in next episode we will work with the what do we call it as, from there we will bring in objects to, I think, analytics, app, floor plan. There are different floor plans, we'll cover those. So I hope it makes sense. So now going back to our coding place. Okay, so coming back to our existing views, I'm checking what all CDS view we have created. So for example, this interface view is the one which we can use, which is for plant, which is for company code. This we can use, very good. And then we can have for plant also we have, then for header also we have, right? And then for PO header, PO item, we can use this one. Yes, and I can remove these and maybe, okay, this is our data published true. Okay, so maybe what I can do is that for plant, for company code, for material, we already have our interface views ready, right? So, and for header also, what I can do is just to, we can create one more for PO item, and that will be I will say a bit of a an interface view, the basic interface view, which based on which we will create our composite view and all. So what I will do is I will just copy this and or maybe I can remove these all labels, right? Or maybe let's reuse this only. I will just remove our, no, I will create a new one. So I just copy this and I do a right click, new data definition, and JEDI PO and items, yeah, PO items, basic interface view, and then I say next, and that's a basic view. I say finish. So I will just copy this stuff, select from, right, and let us then remove these, and because these are specific to the application, so any application can have its own consumption view and create it. So what I am doing is right now creating a basic interface view on top of our item table, right? And currency should be not, amount is not linked to, it should be linked to where. So I should, rather than that this was, for example, we did, I say this, and this is how we want it, and I don't need these client and all. That was just for an example, and we even don't need to do a casting. I'll say WRBTR I already have, so I don't need to use casting. That was to explain you guys. And this also we don't need, so I don't think we need also these descriptions. I will remove them and let them remain as it is. So it's like we will be having our basic interface view, right? And like we have defined for currency, maybe I will define the semantics for quantity, I believe it is. Let me insert it, because semantics, let us have everything for the time being, because it is very tough to remember everything. User quantity, so here we have quantity, right? And unit of measure we need, yes, and rest all is we don't need. So I can simply move this thing out and put it here as means. That okay, this is field quantity, menge is my quantity, and means is my unit of measure, and then I in place of means I say iterate semantics dot unit of measure true, right? So now we have our because we already have our basic consumption, basic interface views, right, based on the database table. Now also, and only PO item was pending, so now that is also done, right? And I just say activate. Hopefully I have not done any mistakes. So now we have covered, we have tables, we have basic interface view, right? Now we will make a composite view, which is to combine all of it into one reusable view, and then any consumption view can use it as per, you know, they can add their annotations and all. So maybe let me create one Jedi, let me call it as a composite or final PO view, right? And this will have will bring in associations. We'll try to bring in kind of what do we call it as the relationships different, right? And then we'll see how it works. So join with to parent, or yeah, maybe we can use this one. Okay, let's start with this one, we can modify it. Okay. Okay, so maybe let me first name it to name our SQL view, right? And we want to select from Jedi PO header as header, and its association is to item, so which is Jedi PO items, and I call it as underscore items, and it can have one to many, right? And then we have eBalance, which is purchase order is the association, and here I think we have P1, right? Now, so this is the first one, but we'll create another one which is for our association to Jedi T001. If you look at this, I have not created a new new views, the basic interface views with, we wanted the names to be friendly, and I actually, because we are using the earlier created one, so that's why we have these name. Otherwise names like these make more sense. That is the whole sole purpose of adding semantics to the basic interface view. So anyways, but we are clear with our concept, so that is more important, and hopefully we'll take care of them once we apply them. So company, I think company has Bookers, which is okay. Then even the field names could have been more user friendly, more relevant to business, right? But anyways, since we are using it, it's okay. So I'd say plant, at least our composite interface views will have the relevant name of the association. So it's like works and works, right? Then I'll change the association because I forgot. And this is Jedi Mara underscore material we have, and then as material material is material, right? Now the error it says is okay, this is okay. We will be exposing the associations also, right? So maybe let me first add the associations, so that this is a reusable view, right? So any consumption views can build on top of it as they feel like. So now we have exposed these, right? Now the projections, we have defined field as evalin and all, which are not there, right? So maybe let me insert evalin, works is there, Bookers is there, material also. So material is coming from here as material. I think I could not, even if I don't write an alias, it is okay. And then you have this one is, will have 1:1 because it is master data, right? So this is, we have defined our basic view, basic composite view, the next level, and it shall show the data. Plus I think it is along with association, it is also important to define what kind of a relationship these from PO item to header, or PO to, not PO to PO item, PO to company and all are there, right? For example, for this we do have annotation of object model. I think that we can leave it here, we can basically define sometime later. But anyway, so our at least basic composite interface view is ready. I hope it gets activated. It is activated, very good. And if I just press F8, we see these there are these 11 entries which have come, and if I click here, I want to see what plant it is. Cannot be cast to, yeah, no, what plant it is, and D01, so D01 plant description is coming. Same way, if I want to see what company it is, corresponding company is coming, right? So this is okay. So now we have basic view, on top of it composite view. Now this is reusable, anyone can use it. So what we will do is, we will create one more view, which is a final consumption view. So I will do a right click, new data definition, ZC PO view, right? It's a consumption one, and I say next. Next, it is not an association, it's a basic view with this. So I will say ZCPO view. Yes. Now this is the one which every application, Fiori application, will have its own way, right? So let me just first consume this. So we have select from this, and then let me insert everything. So we have our keys and everything, whatever is coming, right? So you must be thinking, what is the difference between this and this? As of now, there is no difference, but we will add them slowly. So first, what we do is, because it has to be exposed to a front end app, it needs to publish an OData services. So I'll say OData dot publish true. Yes. So whenever the OData is activated, whenever the CDS view is activated, it will create the OData services also for us, which is very good. There's no work has to be done. And then maybe I'll add some annotations, because we are going to use this consumption views to create our Fiori element list report, right? So what I will do is I'll start adding now and enhancing this. There is two ways. One is I can create an extension on top of it where I can define my annotation, but for the purpose of the our demo, let's keep it here, everything simple, and I will keep this. I'll enhance this consumption view with annotation. So for example, we will use UI annotations dot header info, right? And which is basically to add the titles or for the Fiori element list report. So what I'll say is type name, type name. So I say it's a purchase order app, purchase order, and then there is another which is by the name of type name plural. So what it means, if there are more than one entries in the list output, then what should be the output? It should call it as purchase orders, else it is purchase order. Okay, which is very good. So I just press save. Now I think let's keep it as it is, and then we will start building stuff and in the web IDE, and then you will see how those annotations are playing the role. So maybe I'm just activating it and crossing this, crossing this, crossing this. I think it is activated. Yeah, activated. And if I just press F8, you will still see the same data. Now before I go any further, because the OData service is still generated, I need to activate it, right? So I go to our backend. I will go to Mint services. I'll say add service and local get service. Sort down this one, jetc poview.cds. I say add, and package is jetcds for web. Continue. Okay. So our service is generated, everything is done. Very good. So now if I just scroll down here and jetc, where is jetc? Jetc poview, this is the one, and if I just call it in my gateway client, and if I just say dollar metadata, it brings in my entity which is jetc. It brings in my entity which is jetc poview, what all fields are there. Then there are these navigation properties, and then basic details of them and everything, right? So all good, all going fine till now. So I think now it is a time where we start building this our Fiori elements app. So what I have done is I have a personal SAP Web ID edition installed on my local system. If you want, you can connect your running system to a SAP Cloud Platform Web ID also. It is very easy to install the SAP Personal Web ID. So in case you are interested in installing your personal web ID, all you need to do is SAP Personal Web ID install, right? And there you will see all the latest, all the step by step description of how do we do it, right? I will post this link in the video details so that you can install it, right? Only thing which I feel is the difference is that you might face issues with having the latest versions of SAP UI5 and all and different things. And there's a very good blog where you can also you can refer and install your uh, personal web ID on your system. And if you and if you look at my system, I have my this already running. So maybe I think it's our time that we connect to our uh, web ID and try to see what actually does this thing generate, and then we add annotation, and then step by step you see how it makes the differences. Okay, so maybe let me first, my web ID is already running, so you can see this, right? And this is also connected to my system. So for example, if I say right click, I say new project from template, we are just starting with our first app based on annotations. So as of now, if you look at, we have not used any annotations, right? Only this header one. Let's see what happens now. So if I just say I want to create a list report application, and it will be first app, title will be first app, let that remain as it is, and system is mine, system is okay. Now it is, because I've done this configuration, it is connected to our system, and here we are seeing ZCO POView CDS, right? This is the one which we have created, ZCPOView ZCS, this one, correct? So now I'm saying we want to use this one. It will automatically see what all metadata exists for this, anything, if any annotations or something, and all I say next. Yes, this is very important. So first of all, what do you want to see on the first page? I want to see my ZCPOView. I want a basic POView, and then from there, if I click something, I want to go to items. So then you say next and finish. You're done. And if I just say run using sandbox, so you see this first app, this description is coming from that place where we have put in the description and the name. So now it asks me for my super secret credentials, and now you see there is nothing has come. Actually it is all blank. So there is purchase orders. This is something which we are familiar. From where it is coming? From here, right? And what all do we have? We see this adapt filters, right? But there are fields, but we don't have anything already displayed. Neither there are fields here, right? Although they are available here. So maybe what we'll do is we'll slowly add the annotations to change them, to change their label, and then we will put them. Okay, so what I will do is I will just move it here and move it here, right, so that you can see the changes for yourself. So first of all, what we will do is we will define that once your list report execution is, or this is loaded, we want to see certain fields, these 4 fields at least, right? How do we do that? So what we have is we have at the rate UI annotations, right? And in UI we have an annotation named line item, right? And which talk about that. Okay, let me just first write it, then you will understand. Position, I want position 10. Yes, this is one. I'm just copying it to plant, to Pucras, to material. Position 20. I'll explain you what this is. And I'm activating it. And Once it is activated, I will just press Control Shift R and let this app reload. And now you see. So basically, what I've done is under UI parent annotations or domain, we have an annotations of annotation name line item. This line item is for how do you want the data to be represented in a table. And under this, there is one field which is position, which says what position you want. I want first position as 10, purchasing document, second as 20, plant. If I change this, that I want second as this and first as this, and I want first field as plant, not the purchase order. So I will just activate it, and if I just do a refresh, you will see how it works. So now you see plant is there the first time, right? Now I actually don't like these what do we call it as label. And if you remember, we have this end user text label which is applicable at scope. The scope is entity also, parameter also, element also. So I can use this label at here, and I will say this is my PO, and let me call it as my plant, and maybe next one as my company, and this last one as my material, right? So I don't like the description, so I am annotating it. Now keep in mind that this view is a consumption view, so every app can have any view and they can customize it as per their need, and the reusable view is the composite interface view based on which it is placed. So now I have done that. So now if I just press refresh, hopefully this will change, right? So now we have my plant, my PO, my company. But if I look at here, there are no filters coming, right? So for filters also we have an annotations, right? So what you need to do is in UI only you have an annotation name, like you have line item, you have selection field, right? And that is also an array, and basically I want only two fields for selection. Let's say I want purchase order number and purchase order or plant, nothing else, right? So I have done that. Now if I activate it, it is activated, and now if I just press a refresh, I shall see some selection fields also. You see, this is also coming now. Now if I press go, so you see the data is there, everything is there, which is perfectly fine, right? And in fact there are other fields also which are available. These are available from our associations also, right? You can have company code, company name, whatever, and you can add it. And let's try to click on this, and yeah, so we don't have, this is basically what we call it as an object page, where you want to see the details of this table or line item, right? Table, the selected record. So right now there is nothing coming. Maybe we can add here something. For example, we can add let's add a plant and everything, right? So maybe the same thing. Let's add the purchase order and identification. I think identification. Let me, I'm very bad with spelling, so better to have it via this. Oh, I don't need all this. Yes, I'll explain you what this identification is. Again, it is when you want to display the field in your object page once it is selected. So right now I'm trying to display the same field which it is selected, so I want maybe purchase order and all to be displayed here, right? So if I just say activate and I go back here, it is activated. If I just say refresh and if I just search now, hopefully once I click here, then yeah, at least we have these my PO and my plant is coming from here, right? So we will see this, our information is coming in the header, but the second facet, maybe we need to work on it so that whenever I select a PO, it shows me its items, right? So let's go back to our web ID, and this is the local folder. This is annotations local folder. So you can define your annotations at CDS level, right? And in case you have not defined, you can define some at your local annotations level. Both work in the same way. For example, if you note in the for items, right? For items, we are let me just open this. For items, we are directly referring to our PO items interface view. That means it doesn't contain any annotations, the UI specific annotations. Why? Because this is a basic CDS view and it is only interacting with the database. No other view is interacting with the database, only these basic views. So now how do we add, because if this association is going to be called when I will select this PO record, then this is coming from this association, right? But I have not defined anything. So how do we define it? We can define it locally here also, rather than changing it in the or basic view. But basic view we cannot change, or we define a separate another consumption view on item, and then based on then item and all, we generate something else. So there are different ways of designing this data model. To keep our thing simple, we have seen the CDS view level annotations, right? How we are using it. Now let's try to see how do we use local annotations, a separate one which are separate from this at the app level. So whenever you'll create this file, so this is a basic structure which is generated. We'll slowly the more annotations we bring in, the more we will understand it. So let me make it bigger. Maximize, ignore this exception. So now there are two views. One is our parent view, which is CPU view, and inside it we have two facets, right? One is general information, which is this one, another is second facet. So let me modify the label for this because this is coming from second facets. I go to I18N, I change it to my PO items, right? And if I just refresh it, you will see it takes impact. So nothing fancy here, this, right? And so we see my PO items, which is okay. And now I open again the annotations.xml, right? Maybe I'll just make it bit less small because otherwise it will keep on. So it says this actually annotations point to a path which is towards 2_items, and it says UI_line item. So maybe let me first create that line item, because then I will be able to explain you. And inside it I have a data field, and that points to material, and I just say save, and now I say save, I open it again. If I now try to open 2_items, you see now? Okay, so let me explain you. So this facet, which is our second one, my PO items, it points to an annotation path. What is an annotation path? It points to a different entity, for example from PO header to PO items, right? So it will be saying point to 2 items. 2_items is a navigation property, which is correct, based on which our OData is generated, right? And what is the entity type? It is JEDI PO items type. So if I say JEDI PO items type, it refers to, right? Inside it, where I'm saying go to UI line item. So if I go here, I'm saying that okay, in my UI line item, I want a data field which is nothing but a column with material only. I can add one more, which is I will say apart from material, it is a path, right? So you also show me the quantity, and apart from this, you also show me the PO item, and apart from this, you also show me PO number we already have, so some quantity, not amount, right? And even we can add currency also if you want. So I just press save now, right? Save. So now what we have done is, rather than having our items CDS view, which in our case is a basic interface view without annotations, we have annotated this thing locally, right? That okay, whatever is coming from there, I want those UIs to be like this, right? So let's just go back. I reload my stuff. And I hope this all works. So this is nothing fancy, this is all same. This is coming from CDS annotation, this also is coming from CDS annotation ABAPers. Now if I click here, now you see this is again CDS annotation from identification one. You see this now. So we have material, quantity, item, amount, currency. Material, quantity, item, amount, currency. You see everything is here now. It is coming from a local annotations, right? So I think we have our virtual data model ready. It has its own, you can see that if I select one, it shows me 4 duplicate rows. Why? Because we have actually, in our original CDS view, we have got material, right? So because of this material, let me show you. Because of this material, we are having multiple entries, because because in line item level you have, for each PO you have multiple line item. That is why for each PO you are getting multiple line items at header as well as item level. It could have been, I would have, if I would have designed it like, first created another interface view which is like combination of material and PO item, and then based on it I create another consumption view which is based on that combination. It would have been a bit better, but that's the part of how do you kind of keep doing stuff and then learn and then correct your model. You come back, correct your model, then enhance it, and correct your model, then enhance it. So till now we have seen how those different two flavors work with annotations. Our virtual data model is ready. Our basic CDS annotations and local annotations both are working. So maybe in our so I think I would like to stop here, and so that you can also do these things and digest it and try to implement it at your place, right? And then what we will do is in our next session or in our next episode, we would like to kind of explore more of these different parts. For example, how do we add colors to it, or how do we add percentages to it, and then slowly, if time permits, will move towards business object processing framework, and try to see how do we create POs, how do we kind of try to interact with it. So that's the overall plan. The plan is that we'll create different kinds of application, even analytical, object based type, and try to learn as much as different kinds of stuff. Or how do you maybe we'll also cover how do you extend the Fiori elements also, right? So that's how this journey will go. So thank you for watching, and I'll say stay safe, stay secure, and keep sharing, keep learning. Thank you. Bye bye.